Welcome, everybody. Can you hear me okay? Welcome. I'm Rev Mark. I'm a friend of Carol's, known her for many years, and I'm so honored to be here today with all of you, all of us to come together to create this container to feel the love and appreciation for this beautiful life known as Carol Ann Davis. I'm honored to be here, to be able to do this with you. So I thought I'd start with a little reading from Dr. Ernest Holmes. It's one of the readings I know that Carol loved. And actually all that we're doing today was all orchestrated by Carol, just so you know. Like every little thing that I was doing, I knew she's like, yeah, that's good, that's not good. You know, I could sense it the whole time. So I thought I'd start with this quote from Ernest Holmes. We should think of our friends as though they had started on a greater journey into a larger life, carrying with them everything that makes for the warmth, the color, the responsiveness of human personality. They are not less, but more themselves. With peace and confidence, let us lay the memories of the beloved ones who have passed on before us on the altar of high faith, grateful for the lives we well lived and well loved. May the light of eternal life and peace and joy abide with them. And all the healing energy there is in the universe and all of our love is with those who we have left behind. So that was from Dr. Ernest Holmes. First of all, I want to do a little opening, create the space, okay? So we're going to just get quiet for a second and kind of go within and allow ourselves to feel the essence of Carol Ann Davis, and how you felt and how you feel about her, the love you have for her, the essence of her soul. So starting right now in this moment, I invite everyone to stop and just take a few conscious breaths. Just be here now. Like someone said to me earlier this morning, that Carol was someone who, with all she had going on in her life, would always come back to being present, would always come back to coming from that place of that divine knowing. And so knowing that we are co-creating a sacred space today by being here together. We're opening up our hearts, our mind, our soul to connect with the heart, mind, and soul of Carol Ann Davis. I know that right where we are right here in this room, that she is too. She is right here with us. The energy, the love, the light that Carol is, the joy, the essence of her soul, right here, right now, in this very room. And so we allow ourselves to feel the beauty of Carol, the love of Carol, the joy of Carol, the laughter of Carol, the sarcasm of Carol. And we allow ourselves to feel this fully as we create this container this morning. And so we give great thanks for this precious opportunity to come together to celebrate this beautiful life, this colorful life, this interesting and fun life that is Carol Ann Davis. And so with great thanks, we know that today, that all of this is divinely orchestrated, and that each of us shares what we need to share, hears what we need to hear, to make that connection even deeper in our own heart, the essence of Carol. And so it is. So, we've come together from different places, from all over the world. I actually saw something on Facebook. She was with a friend. I didn't remember her name, but she was in Africa. And they took a picture. Did anyone see this? They took a picture, and she's like, oh, look, this is one of your friends, Carol, in Africa. So she knew people from all over the world. Did anyone know who that picture, anyone see that? No. I should have wrote that down. But anyway, so she knew people all over the world. But we've all come here, and we all are at different stages on our own journey. Our paths are varied, and we look like we live our life in different ways. But there's one thing that we all have in common, and that at one point or another, and to some degree or another, your lives have touched the life of Carol Ann Davis, and she has touched yours. Human life is sacred. It is as sacred as being born. It is sacred when we're living. It is sacred when we pass. We have gathered today to remember someone much loved. The more we love in this world and share life's affections, the more tender we become. So we let our hearts be open today. The deeper our feeling of attachment and the commitment that has taken root, the more we are vulnerable to loss and love of the loved one. But let this not be so much a time for mourning, but a time for celebration, a celebration of a human life, a beautiful life, a life well lived, the life of Carol Ann Davis. I know that Carol loved her family and her friends very deeply. I know we have some people online, some of her families watching. She brought kindness and compassion and passion to everything that she did. She had a wonderful sense of humor, and she taught honesty. She spoke her truth, sometimes with a sharp tongue. She knew what she wanted, and she told you whether you liked it or not. And underneath all of that, she loved deeply, and she was deeply loved in return. So let's celebrate and be grateful for the life and the love, as her life and love joins our hearts in the lasting bonds of love, affection that reach beyond death and life. So I wanted to share a little bit about Carol's life. And I know you all know a lot about it, and you'll probably hear more when people come out and share. I'm just going to share just a little bit that I kind of gathered over the time, over the years that I knew her. But I don't know if you know, she's done a lot of different things in her life. Anyone know this? If you ever heard her share, oh my God, she tells me about her childhood, and we both shared this kind of similar thing about our childhood. We had crazy mothers. I hope I'm not offending anybody online, but at least she thought she was crazy. Maybe she wasn't, but it could have been Carol. But we bonded that way, and we did a lot of healing work around that. And we finally at some point we realized that our mothers really taught us a lot, and on some level they were a great teacher. As much as they had their stuff going on, they taught us. They put us through some stuff to help us grow. The polishing of the diamond of the heart. And my mother did that, and Carol realized that her mother did that for her too. Carol was kind of an ornery one. Especially when she was a teenager, I hear. I don't know if you heard some of this stuff. You ever hear some of this stuff when she was a teenager? She got herself in a little bit of trouble, I heard. She got arrested for grand theft auto. Did you hear about that? When she was a teenager, she told me this story. I think she probably shared this in some of her shares. I'm not sure exactly if she actually got charged with grand theft auto, or if that's just what they arrested her, because I don't know if she went to jail or not, but I think she might have spent a couple days in jail, actually. But she, her and a couple of her friends thought it was kind of fun to walk through the parking lots, and back then, in those days, people just left their keys in their car. And they'd take the car and go for a joyride, Well, she got caught. And I guess you're not supposed to do that, right? So, because they would take the car and then leave it somewhere. They didn't bring it back, I don't think, so she got herself in a little bit of trouble. She ran away from home when she was in her 20s. Did you hear about that? Yeah. You heard about that? She ran away from the home she owned. She owned the home and she ran away. This was in the height of her addiction, when she was in the height of her alcohol addiction issues that she was dealing with at the time. And, she was homeless. She was homeless for I don't know how long, but she was homeless for a while. She said she went to go live on the bench in the park. That was her park bench was her home for a while. And, of course, if you ever saw her book, it talks a little bit about that in her book, Changeless Change. She talks a little from, what'd she say, from the bench to the, I forget, from the bench what? Oh, from Park Avenue? Yeah, maybe that's what she called it. So, after she went through all that, she finally got sober. And some people picked her up off the street, basically, from what it sounds like. And she got very involved in sobriety. She got very involved in the program of AA, and it really saved her life. And one of the famous stories that I remember her telling me was when she was just so ornery, and she didn't want to listen to anybody, and, stubborn. Anyone know Carol? And so she was a bit stubborn. And yet she was like carrying on in the back of one of these AA meetings she was at. This is, I guess, in LA. And she was going on and causing all this trouble. And some lady took her aside and put her up against the wall and said, "Surrender, bitch, surrender." And Carol, you can imagine Carol's face, right? And you know Carol, you can imagine her face. You know, surrender, bitch, surrender. And it was at that time, she shares, that that's when everything kind of changed. It snapped her out of some, I don't know, trance that she was in, you know, and stuck in the pattern of addiction, her own stubbornness. It broke something up for her. And she started opening up, and she started going to these meetings, started listening to what they were telling her to do. I hope I'm getting this close to what she shares, but I've heard her story a few times. But, you know, she got sober, and she really got very involved in AA. She was friends with Charlie. Anyone know Charlie from, what's his last initial? C. Charlie C., yeah, from LA, right? A very famous, very well-known AA speaker and very influential. So she was friends with him, and she stayed close to the center of the circle in sobriety. She was 50 years sober last year. She was 50 years. Yeah, give her a hand. She said, "I'm going to make it to 50." You know, she was going through a lot this last few years. If you know Carol, right? She was going through a lot. She said, "I'm going to make it to 50 years. I want to make it 50 years sober." You know. She was friends with. She worked at the Betty Ford Institute. Was friends with Betty Ford and Gerald Ford, and she spent quite a bit of time with them. And there's a couple of letters. There's a whole stack of letters from between her and Betty. I think she worked kind of in some ways. She worked with Betty because Betty Ford was still at the Betty Ford Center when she was alive, and Carol was working there. She was a journalist. Did you know that? She was a journalist for Desert Sun. She wrote for the real estate column. She sponsored many people in the recovery. Of course, she was an author. She wrote the book, Change is Change. She was also a barber, and she cut my hair many times. A little too short now. She was an avid photographer, an amateur photographer, probably a professional photographer. I mean, when she passed and we were going through some of her stuff, there was so many old cameras and stuff like that. I couldn't believe the amount of, she was really into it, And so she did a lot of beautiful photography. And you can find a lot of this stuff, by the way, on her Facebook page. She has pictures. If you scroll down through her photos and stuff, you can see some of the amazing photos that she took. And then as she started getting more involved in being she got on social media. Did you hear about that? She became a media influencer. Did you hear about that? And she would do these really kind of inspiring, she called them, what she call them? Spot of sunshine, right? Did anyone see the spot of sunshine when she did spot of sunshine? And so she would she would read a little book or something like that and get a little inspiration. And that's how people, I think, got to know her more around the world. She had some friends. She was an Uber driver. Did you know that? Yeah. There's this interesting story, and when I was going through some of her computer stuff, I found this video of this lady from England who had come to visit the Coachella Valley. And I don't know if they went to Coachella Fest or something like that. And she gives this, she's just sharing about how when they got here, Carol picked them up at the Uber, and they had this most amazing conversation all the way to Coachella Fest. And then when they were leaving Coachella Fest, they called another Uber, and guess who picked them up? So they got not only picked up on the way there, she randomly got picked up on the way back. And so they developed this connection because of that. The lady was sharing about her book and what an influence that Carol was on her life, just by being an Uber driver. And she told me so many stories about that Uber driving, which I can't really get into. It's not enough time. She helped coach people, through a lot of things. She was really great with newcomers, people doing sobriety, but also people starting a new chapter in their life. For me, she really was not only my friend. We became friends over the years. But she coached me when I was going through a big transition in my life, when I was going to start to work in addiction treatment centers and stuff like that. Because she had already worked in addiction treatment centers, she says, "Mark, make sure you do it this way. Don't do it this way. Do it this way." And I started doing it this way. No, I said, "Do it this way. Don't do it that way. Do it this way." She was very clear. And I listened to her. I believed her. And that's one of the things I loved about Carol. She would call me on my shit. She would tell me the way it is. She wouldn't beat around the bush. A little bit too much. Sometimes more, right? But she really was like this person, and she really helped. She helped me launch a whole new chapter of my life where even before that, she's a practitioner also. She was a healing practitioner with the Center for Spiritual Living. a science of mind practitioner. And we would do these treatments together. And when I was going through this big change in my life, I didn't know what was going to happen next. And so we would do this treatment, and I opened up and I prayed to I call it God, inner wisdom, higher power. And we prayed, and we did this amazing prayer. And I'd been doing this prayer all along, and she would do it with me. And I opened up to pray for God to show me my niche, to show me how I was supposed to serve. And then when these doors started opening for me to work in treatment, the doors started opening up. And she helped guide me through that. And really, I give her so much, and I'm indebted to her for her helping me do the work that I get to do today. So in so many ways. So that's just a little bit I have around Carol's life, because there's so much more. And I'm going to invite you all to, at some point here in a little bit, to anyone who wants to share. Let's see, anything else I could think about, say about Carol? She was a good friend. And in the last few years, she was ailing. And of course, many of you know that. And we became even closer friends. She said something all the time. She says, what'd you say? Even bad things happen to me good. And it used to piss me off that she said that. I thought that was kind of negative. Like, Carol, why do you keep saying that? It sounds like a negative thing to me. Mark, don't worry about it. Even bad things happen to me good. And what she meant by that was that even when shit falls apart and things happen and they're not going my way, somebody shows up and helps. Something happens and it's right there, like Carol Dunn, who happened to move in right across, like literally across the sidewalk and became her helper, thank God for you, Carol, for being, I felt such a relief knowing that you were there, because I couldn't always get over there, and so what a relief. And so many other people have helped Carol through these years, especially in these last few years when she was ailing. People would just show up and help, and when she was passing, the same thing, there were so many people who came and showed up and loved her, so I have so much, I can go on and on. Janice helped, and so many other people, Pam, and so many other people, and her good friends. And I know, is her sponsor here today? Her sponsor? No, she didn't make it? Okay. I would like to show you a video presentation. I created a 15-minute video presentation, but I'm only going to show you 4, so don't freak. My husband said, Mark, 10 minutes is too long. So what I did do, though, I'm going to show you. It's a beautiful video presentation of many of the people that Carol knew and things that she did. I tried to include so many different things that she did in this in 4 minutes. But the good news is, after we're done here today, if you want to hang around for a little while, we're going to have some refreshments in there. There's a bunch of amazing refreshments, by the way. I had no idea you were all going to get so much. So some good food in there, and cake. We're going to have a cake. This is a celebration. We got a nice cake for Carol. But after we're all done here, we're going to have the rest of the videos are going to be up on here. So you can sit in here and watch and talk and see the pictures that come up, all right, because there's so much, all right? And because it's going to be posted on Facebook, you could actually watch it later. Right? That's kind of good too. Okay. So let's start with the video presentation, Jeff. Okay.
You're broken down and tired of living life on the merry-go-round. And you can't find a fighter, but I see it in you, so we gon' walk it out. Move mountains, we gon' walk it out and move mountains. And I'll rise like the day. Again. you. The silence isn't quiet, and it feels like it's getting hard to breathe. And I know you feel like dying, but I promise we'll take the world to its feet. Move mountains, bring it to its feet. Move mountains, and I'll rise up. I'll rise like the day. I'll rise up. I'll rise unafraid. I'll rise up, and I do it 1,000 times again. You. And for that we have each other, and we will rise, we will rise, we'll rise, we'll rise. I'll rise up, rise like the day. I'll rise up. In spite of the ache, I will rise 1,000 times again. And we'll rise up. I like the waves. We'll rise up. In spite of the ache, we'll rise up. And we'll do it 1,000 times again. You.
Roberta, Roberta's going to read a poem for us. And this poem also that Roberta's going to read is really, I feel, came from Carol, the way she thinks about life.
Hi, Roberta Hollick. That's how we do it, right? 50 years. I didn't know she had 50. I mean, I knew she had more time than the baby Jesus, but I didn't realize it was 50 years. I just want to say quickly, I know Carol, I heard her story many times, and I knew that she did a lot of things, but to see it like this, it's like, I better get on it, because my video is going to be very short. And number one. Number two, I was just thinking, Carol, when I walked in the rooms out here in the desert, and Carol had more time than I did. And so, I always look up to the women that had more time than I did. And so she also started taking practitioner classes at one of those Science of Mind churches, I think Palm Desert. But she took a lot of classes out of here, this center too, I think, right, Reverend Robert?
Some, yeah.
And did some service work here, and as a practitioner, as a licensed practitioner. And in that department, I have more time than her. I've been a practitioner at the Palm Springs Center for Spiritual Living for 17 years now. So when she came to me for help, she was afraid of the podium. And I was like, ooh, I felt honored. And we did a lot of rehearsal here in this room, and then she had somebody gave her some cassettes, and I was the only one that had a cassette player, one of those walkers, because nobody has them anymore. And so I lent her my tape player forever, and then like a year later, she goes, "Oh, I have something to give to you." She returned it. Who does that? I couldn't believe it. Anyways, yeah, I'm gonna miss her. She was a staple at women's meetings for sure. Okay, here we go. Death is nothing at all. I've only slipped away into the next room. I am I, and you are you. Whatever we are to each other, that we still are. Call me by my old familiar name. Speak to me in the easy way which you always used. Put no difference in your tone. Wear no forced air or sorrow. Laugh as we've always laughed at the little jokes we enjoyed together. Play, smile, think of me, pray for me. Let my name be ever the household word that it always was. Let it be spoken without effect, without the trace of a shadow on it. Life means all that it ever meant. It is the same as it ever was. There is absolutely unbroken continuity. Why should I be out of my mind because I'm out of sight? I am waiting for you, for an intervale, somewhere very near, just around the corner, all is well.
Thank you. So I wanted to open up the shares. Is Mike here? Michael? Yeah. Michael, you want to come up and share? Then you want to come? I have a couple people. Yeah. So come on up, Dr. Michael. Did you get anybody online, by the way? Anybody make any comments?
Not really.
Nothing. Okay.
Not
Okay.
much, I know.
All right. Hey, Michael.
Well, my name is Mike, and I'm also an alcoholic. I'm used to sharing from the podium in the context of Alcoholics Anonymous, but sitting there thinking, I don't know if I can do this today. I had a very special relationship with Carol. I met her when I was 1 year sober in 1976. And I was in the midst of a crisis in Palm Springs. I had come to Palm Springs from Orange County, and I had, at the time, I was when I came out here, I read a newspaper, and it was an advertisement for a gay resort. And I thought, here's my chance, I always thought I might be gay, but I wasn't sure. So I went to that resort. And when I came back to the Palm Springs Roundup that day, as a result of the activity that I had gotten involved in at that resort, I just felt like a total creep. I felt like I had no worth whatsoever. I was full of guilt and remorse. And Carol, I had met Carol at meetings in Orange County. Carol was there, and she asked what was wrong, and we sat down and we talked for hours. It was a clear demonstration of what Alcoholics Anonymous is all about, is that she just sat and talked with me, and she emphasized the fact that it was important for me to figure out some way to be honest. Life has gotten progressively better, of course, since that time. So I was one of the few, or one of the lucky people who managed to stay sober since that time. And Carol and I have had so many discussions. And the thing that I have found most helpful with regards to what Carol has taught me is that everything that's worthwhile that's happened in my life has been something that happened in here. Hasn't been who I was married to or who I was dating or what kind of job I had or any of that kind of thing. It was all, what happened inside. And I'm just very, very grateful to have known her. And I'm sure that there are many other people here in the room that feel very much the same way. The other thing is Carol was a hard ass when it came to Alcoholics Anonymous. She would accept no excuses from me ever. Again, this is the kind of thing that saves our lives. So anyway, thanks. Thanks, Juan.
Hi, my name is Janice, and I too am an alcoholic. The last time I saw Carol in her apartment was December 1st. I think it was a Friday night, I'm not 100% sure, but she was all concerned because she was trying to pull up a letter that she had written on her computer, and she needed some help getting to it, and Mark was there and helped, Carol was there. Others were there, I think Janet was there. We were packing up her things because she was moving to a beautiful place in Desert Hot Springs for the final leg of her journey. So this is a letter that she had written on her computer that she wanted to share. This is December 1st. It's been a good ride with God as my guide. No regrets. I had it all. I had you. My true healing and recovery began when I learned about gratitude. It has been said, fake it till you make it. What does that mean? How do you do it? And I just got this visual of Carol when she was being a clown in the slideshow. I could just see her. How do you do it? When I was new, another newcomer said to me, but what? That would be pretending, which is a lie. I'm trying to get honest, and now you tell me to lie. Clearly a conundrum. You are pretending to be what you want to be. For example, you cannot think of one thing to be grateful for, but you start getting up every morning and simply say, thank you, I am grateful. Then all day long say, thy will be done. Just say it without any additional thought. Then one day you think of something to be grateful for, and so it starts. It's like affirming you are well when you actually feel sick. I guess technically it is lying, but more importantly, it's reprogramming your subconscious. One day you realize you've become what you were aiming for by being grateful. Today, regardless of the obstacles on my path, I get to find something to be grateful for. It is not being in denial of the bad or wrong or ugly things we are going through, but finding something to be grateful for and knowing we are not alone can make the ride softer. I have experienced the good, the bad, and the ugly. It is called life. I call it all good. And she had a little button that I love, and it was on her t-shirt in one of the slides, and it said, be love, pass it on. Thank you, Carol Davis.
So anybody else? The mic is open. We have at least 20 minutes to share, and so just.
Good afternoon. I'm Reverend Dr. Robert, and I'm not an alcoholic. Close to it many times, but never got to that point. I knew Carol for quite a while, and it was all in as a practitioner and as a minister. And early on in my practitioner work, Carol was over at Palm Desert, and I was here at Palm Springs. And I met her one day, and she said, let's do something together. And I said, well, you're international, and we're united. It just doesn't go together. She goes, the hell with that. We can get anything together we want. And we did. And we ended up having some workshops together. And that's how we started getting the two groups together. And practitioner work that I was in here, and as she was, we even did practitioner panels here for both of the organizations. And that was unheard of at that time, that the two different organizations would get together and do their same things. And we learned so much about each other. Shortly thereafter, I decided to go into ministerial school. And living in Palm Springs, I didn't want to go down to Encinitas. And I got a call from someone down in Encinitas saying that, do you know Carol Davis? And I go, yeah, I know Carol Davis. Well, she wants to go into ministerial school too. And so the two of us packed our little car up, and off we trotted down the highway. Now, if you've ever traveled with Carol, you know what it's like. You laugh your ass off all the way. You just have fun all the time. That's just what she was, with me at least. And we had so much fun, and I see a couple of our ministerial students here together. We had a great time, and Carol was always, she was the life of the party. I have to admit that. Even in ministerial school, when you're supposed to be serious and all this stuff, there was never like that when she was around. So we really had a really good time. But for Carol being a part of my life, it was shortly after my partner of 36 years died. And I was having problems. And she came to me and she gave me this book called Healing After Loss. And she said, I want you to read something in that. And I want you to read it over and over and over again. And as you know, she can be a very determined woman. And this is what it says. It is a costly wisdom, and God knows we would not have asked for it. But it is also true that coming through a great sorrow can make us stronger, teach us what is really important. But to survive the death of a loved one is no guarantee of a greater wisdom. We can also become embittered, reclusive, and grasping. That's when we need friends, communities of faith, even professional help. But if we can weather the storm, we'll have a better sense of who we are and what we want most in life. And we will learn to savor and cherish cool water, sunshine and wind, the smell of roses, and the love and friendship we have now. Carol didn't know it at that time, but she directed me to go into grief work. And I got my certificate in grief work and have been working in grief ever since. So, Carol, thank you. You've given me so much. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Janet, and I am an alcoholic. Carol meant a lot to me. I didn't know her as long as many of you. I knew her for 10 years, and we became quite close. And Jeff and I used to stop and pick up donuts for her about once a week and bring them over. And it was a common call. Carol, what kind of donut do you want this time? Well, I don't care what it is. And then we'd bring her a donut. She goes, I don't like that. That was Carol. She always told the truth. But Jeff and I loved her very much. And she counseled me after my husband died in September. And she was really, she was there for me, as were many of you. And she taught me how to have joy regardless of what is going on in my life. And that meant so much to me, because anybody that knows me knows that my Facebook posts are all positive, and I try to send love and joy and positivity out in the world. But when I lost my best friend, my husband, it was hard. It was hard to be positive, but I've managed to do that. And every single day I wake up and I thank God, Gus, I call him, great universal spirit. And I thank Gus every morning when I wake up for having the 35 years we had together, and the power of the program that has given me so, so much. Because without all of you, I wouldn't be standing here today speaking in a microphone. I would not. But I have so much joy in my heart. And Carol, she was laughter personified. She was joy personified. And the last gift she gave me was I was over at her apartment with Janice and a number of other people that were there, going through things and packing things up and doing stuff. And she was sitting on her bed in her bedroom, and she goes, "Janet, come here." And I walked in there. She goes, "Sit down." I did. And she said, "Listen, I know I'm dying, and I've accepted that. And when I go home, I'm going to talk to Jeff and see him, and we're going to give each other shit. And I will give him a hug for you, and we'll be here waiting for you at some point. But just know that I've got his back." That's it. Thank you.
I'm Debbie, and I thought I could do this, but and I'm an alcoholic, and I met Carol when I was 14, and yeah, I got off a Greyhound bus. I'd run away to California, and she was there. She was dating a guy named Ray Melbaum. I don't know if anybody remembers him. He was like this handsome guy, Nobody knew that part of her life. It's like, yeah, Carol she did a lot of things. And that woman was fun. I'll never forget. She's one of the last ones that's still going. Johnny Harris is still around, and Anyway, I met her in 1976, and when I moved out to the desert, I saw her a lot in Long Beach, and then moved out to the desert, and she was here, and I was like, gosh, we told her, I said, you're my rock, you're my touchstone. I always felt safe because she was here. And, I went and saw her at the end, too, it just was, we had the same sponsor, June G's our sponsor, and just the whirlwind of her life and everything she did. She traveled all over the world. She loved to talk about her travels too, and I love to travel also. So it was always a fun conversation to hear about how she got around and what she saw, and she was always exploring, and she was on a journey, and that journey never ended for her. She was always excited about life and taking photographs of the tiniest flower, zoomed in and far away, and just trying to get perspective of everything. And, I just always felt this, I felt love exuded from Carol. She loved deeply. She really did. And she loved Alcoholics Anonymous, and she loved this church, and she loved becoming a practitioner and her writing. And I became a teacher, and she just always honored all that and was so proud of me, and, knew me as a kid, watched me grow up, and she was like my aunt. I just felt like she was just always, she would always be here, and I knew that's not true because that's life. But I know I'll always carry a little piece of her. I got a little angel right here. It's from Carol, and I'll always carry that little angel around on my shoulder. When the devil tries to win out, that's Carol. I'll be like, no. Anyway, thank you so much for the service today.
My name's Scott. I'm also an alcoholic. Mark, thanks for being there all those years at the end. It's good to see everybody. That picture of Tina and Shirley just took it out, didn't it? And pulled it together. Carol is my friend, and she, 2004, we were going to that St. Margaret's speaker meeting, and I was feral and crazy, and she was probably 25 or 35 years sober at the time, and she was just as inappropriate as I was. And I needed that. And then Shirley would always turn around, and we would make fun of her wig, and like everybody did. And And then, so like, you guys get it, right? And then, Shirley needed me to take a commitment there, and it was like a year commitment. I'm like, that seems a little overcommitted. And Carol's like, and that's where the joke stopped. Like, she's like, you do that. Like, when it came to that service work and building a relationship with your sponsor and God, and like the buck stopped there with that. Like, that was serious. And, she taught me that laughter is the most spiritual thing that I could ever do in this life, right? Yeah. And her and I would crack up. And as I grew professionally, she grew professionally, and other people were trying to do things in their life, and we would cross-pollinate ideas, and well, so-and-so's going through this, and what do you think we should do with that? And she's just a good example of a good human, and I'm so grateful that I was in her life. And we would tell ridiculous jokes together, like completely inappropriate. And I'll try and do one that's like, okay, this is just for Carol. Your mama is so stupid. When an intruder broke into her house, she ran down the stairs to dial 911 on the microwave and couldn't find the call button. Your mama is so ugly. When she tried to join the ugly contest, they said no professionals. So, there are many renditions of a yo mama joke, and I don't want to offend anybody. I can tell you the ones that are the worst. We would choke ourselves on Chinese food, like laughing. And so, yeah. So, anyway, thanks, Carol, for being in my life, and Mark, thanks for pulling this together. And it's nice to see everybody. Thank you.
There's a reason I fall downstairs. Hi, I'm Reverend Maureen McElligott from Idlewild, California. I was a classmate of Carol's. She was a year ahead of me, and she and I were the only RSI people there, and we were discriminated against. But, well, a little bit. Come on. Well, you guys did it differently. Well, now we're all one, so shut up. So I was kind of like Carol, and that's why I liked her so much. I didn't like bullshit, and I didn't like being put down, and I loved Carol. So when she decided not to continue with school because she really wanted to stay being a practitioner, I was sad. I almost couldn't support her in her decision, but I did. And we've stayed, I'm just up in Idlewild. I've come down and done some things with her. We did a little bit of work with families of people who had died of suicide. And I went on to be a chaplain and a hospice chaplain, kind of hung around death for a while till I moved on to my next life, which was to get married again, which Carol loved. We were Facebook buddies, so when I couldn't see her here, I would come down and have lunch with her. But when I couldn't see her here, we were always on Facebook together, and I just loved her humor. It was very appropriate to me. So one time in a conversation, she said, Maureen, you're in a writing group up in Idlewild, aren't you? And I said, yes. She said, is that online too? I said, yes. She said, I want to join. I went, uh-oh. 'Cause I didn't know how people were going to take her. Oh, my God. It was all women, and we loved her. Absolutely loved her. When she was having breathing problems, which I am right now with asthma, but when she was having breathing problems, sometimes she wouldn't come on because she couldn't talk. But when she could, she did. And she would read. We took turns reading what we wrote. and she would read it. She'd always stop in the middle and explain things or add a story. And I'm thinking, you didn't write that. But when she was done, she would say, "The end." So when the group heard that she had died, the next week we wrote about her. That was one of our prompts, to write about Carol Davis. And almost all of us ended our writing with "The end." Carol, we love you. Thank you.
We have time for one more. Anyone feels called? Anyone feels nervous? Carol will say, "Get your butt up here."
Thank you. Hi, I'm Carol, and I'm an alcoholic. I just wanted to share a little bit about, I only met Carol about 2.5, 3 years ago, and she came into my life at the most fortuitous time. I was very newly sober, just a couple of months, and I was still in a lot of self-pity and a lot of remorse and a lot of anger. And I felt like I had just ruined my life, and I had no one left in my life. Everybody had disappeared. And I had my sponsor who found me that apartment. Turned out to be right, like from here to the piano to her house. And I was, when I realized who she was, I was amazed. You'll never believe who's living next door to me. And at 50, you know, at that time she had 48 years. And I was just, anyway, so I was in a bad, I wasn't feeling too good about myself. And it was the first time I had ever lived alone in 61 years. And we ran into each other in the parking lot, and she would ask me, "Where do you go every day?" And I said, "Oh, I go to a women's group." "Well, what kind of women's group?" And well, it's a group we get together and we discuss things, because I was trying to keep my anonymity. And then she said, "Are you in AA?" And I said, "Yes." And she says, "Well, me too." And we just hit it off after that. And she was getting, at that time, she was starting to get a little ill and needed help. She didn't have her car anymore. And so I started taking her places. And one day we had to get something at Ace Hardware store. And the two of us walked in together. And the first thing, like 3 feet in front of us, was a stand that had all these cocktail napkins on them. And they had little sayings on them and pictures. So we got up close and looked at them. And the one that struck us was this 1950s woman throwing back a martini. And on the top it said, in big bold letters, "Alcohol." And then underneath, "Because who needs feelings?" And the two of us did just that. We just busted up. And when you hear her laugh, and then that makes you laugh even more, you know, her laugh was just amazing. And so we both were laughing hysterically at just 2 feet in the door. And pretty soon people were turning around at Ace Hardware. Who are these two old ladies laughing uproariously at cocktail napkins, you know? And so we completely forgot what we had come for, and we had to back out of the store and stand in the parking lot and collect ourselves, you know? And that was the kind of person she was for me. She was a wonderful help for me. I really needed that kind of person in my life at that time. And then later, when she started to get more ill, I was able to be a big help to her, and that was really important for me to be of service at that time. Anyway, that's all I got. Thank you.
Oh, you want to put a couple up there? Yeah. We got a whole bunch. How many people we have online? 30 people. Yeah. 30, almost 30 people online. Yeah. Yeah. From all over the world, probably. Yeah. He's going to pop them up here, so you want to just read it. Reese. Hey, Reese. Oh. I can't. You want me to read it? Yeah. You want to go back one? Yeah. Oh, I'm forever blessed. Can you read it from there, Jeff, or no? Yeah, I can. Like it's hard to see from here.
It looks large for the people online, but we can't see it here
Yeah.
very well. This is from Sherry Bratton. She says, "Our world was rocked by her loss here, but I feel her everywhere. And then I'm forever blessed to have had you in my life. Carol, with love, go on. Angel wings to your audience in the sky. Love, Sherry baby."
Oh.
That's very nice. Then we have one here from Jennifer Hurley. She was a privilege to have as a friend from Jim H. Excuse me, from Jim H. And here's Melissa Watson. As a 12-year-old running around AA meetings, Carol was one of the first people to embrace me and became such an important part of my mom's sobriety. I will forever be grateful for the privilege. Give Tina a big hug for me. Yes. And from Ray Jeffers, "You are finally with Linda again. You are both at peace again." And yeah, that's what we've got so far. A few more coming in all the time. I can put some more up later as they come in.
All right. Thanks so much, Jeff.
Sure.
Yeah. She's loved by so many, right? Oh, wow. I'm Mark. I'm an alcoholic. Just wanted to make sure. Forgot to say that earlier, but yeah, Carol really helped me on my path of recovery too. I came here to the desert when I was 5 years sober, and of course I was still doing a bit of, figuring things out. And she was always, reminding me, at one point I got a little disturbed by saying I'm an alcoholic because I'm supposed to be positive. I'm supposed to have positive affirmations. I'm not supposed to say anything negative. It sounds like it's negative, right? And she's like, "Mark, it's not who you are. You're identifying why you're there." I'm like, okay, makes sense. I'm identifying why I'm here, So that was helpful. Anyway, I want to close with, I call this a prayer/send-off. Okay, we're going to send her on her, we're going to honor her on her path, her life, soul journey. Okay, so we'll close this little prayer. So let's go back within and create some space just to stop and be here fully present as we just open up to the essence of Carol's vibration, her soul, her love. If you can imagine her in your mind's eye, in your heart, and just feel her presence. Knowing that we are all connected through this connection with Carol today. And this connection will continue. It will unfold in new, dynamic, in unexpected ways. And so we know that Carol is right here in our hearts, in our souls, and she will be forevermore. There's one presence, one power, one infinite source. It is God which guides, sustains, and maintains each one of us. It is the source of all, and we are its expression. God is right here, right now, in each and every one of us. We are unified with the all-knowing, all-loving presence of God, with all of those here today, and all of those who have gone on before us. And together, we celebrate the life of Carol Ann Davis. In a moment of silence now, we silently speak our word of love and intention for her right now. I know and affirm that God was, God is, and God shall always be with our beloved Carol, with her spirit, as she begins this new journey. I know that Carol is free of all earthly conflict and pain. Her mind is at ease. She is at peace, eternal peace. She is comfortable and remains so. She is complete, eternally complete. She continues to feel your love, and she continues to convey her love through your thoughts, your heart, your soul, and your spirit. And as we lovingly embrace this moment, we declare and affirm our healing is now started. It's taking place right now in this moment, just being here together. We have each other. As we surround Carol in our love and lovingly release her into the presence of peace, into the presence of love, willingness of spirit, into the loving hands of life of God. Carol, we bless you. We honor you. You were, you are, and you will continue to be surrounded in our love. I now seal this in the truth of God, of love, of life, by saying, and so it is. Amen. And in closing, I'd like to just create the space right now to honor and uplift Carol, okay? And when we're done with this, we're going to go gather and have some refreshments. So help yourself to the refreshments, and you can sit in here, you can sit in the kitchen, and we can watch the video and continue to share. If you didn't get to come up here and share with each other, and we'll continue to expand the vibration of Carol Ann in our hearts and with each other. So, Carol's had an amazing life, we've heard here today, haven't we? Yes. A colorful life, right? A life that's touched many people around in so many different ways, at so many different levels. She was a support, a love, a light for so many people, and all these people who are online. And so I thought maybe it'd be nice to give Carol a standing ovation. So let's give her a standing ovation. Stand up, let's lift her up. Yay, yay, Carol. Woo! Yay. Party on, Carol, party on. Oh, thank you all for coming today. I know she would be thrilled if she was here to see all you. And so, yeah. All right, thank you. Hey, thank you. Thank you.
Beautiful.
you.